The only colorful part about mine or David's outfits today are our fans, because otherwise we're giving Drag Race Philippines Season 3 promo. Unintentional, but it really works out well.
I have pops of color.
I do too, but not what the camera can see, so it's fine. But chuva chuchu mabuhay Filipinas! I'm doing my best Mama Pao, where she just screams at the camera for like the first 10 seconds of her intro. Anyway, hi, welcome to The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm Logan Murphy. Say something gay. I am drinking, for those people in the Western United States, I am drinking Dutch Bros. David knows what that is, thankfully.
I've had it once.
Good. Hey, I'll take that. I am having a pink flamingo rebel with blackberry. So it's an energy drink with blackberry, strawberry, peach, and white chocolate. And it is very delicious. But if I was drinking it out of something else that I currently still don't have, it could be in a cup mug. I just keep my Cheryl pin in there now. That's all that's in there. But
mine's empty for once.
Oh, good. Are you out of prep?
I ran out of the bottle that was in here, but I have others.
Good. I'm glad. Yep. I'm very, very glad. You can get your merch at lanagcreations.etsy.com. That link is in the description below. We do ship internationally, or one could say globally, different franchise, but still counts. So there are no excuses. Period.
We're looking to Philippines. Well, I'm David Healy, and I don't have a cute intro, but I do have a cute shirt. I have been listening to Race Chasers a lot this week, so I decided to wear my Alaska shirt.
Hi.
I will give you $10,000 right now.
Party.
I love it. And I'm actually not drinking anything. And I should have a water by me, but I don't. And I'm not doing very well at being hydrated lately, so I probably should go get
hydration is important, David.
It is of the essence of Hall, indeed.
Correct. Shout out to Jada Essence Hall, who I saw at DragRace Live. Since I wasn't here to talk about DragRace Live last week. But God, Jada is such a good performer. Sidebar. But we are back. Everyone else decided to abandon us this week, so it's just me and David this week to talk about episode 4 Philippines. And I have to say, if people were worried about a season 3 curse, consider it shattered. Consider it over. Because this season is just so good.
It is, and I love most of these queens so much. It's gonna be really heartbreaking watching.
Every elimination is gonna suck. I love all of these girls already. I don't know who the one or two that you don't love are, David, but I mean, I'm really fine. Even the girls that I wasn't like, I was like on the fence on like the first couple of weeks. I'm like, no, you're really entertaining now.
Yeah, it's going to be varying degrees of heartbreak as we lose people. Like, I don't think anybody I'm going to be like, yes, you're gone. But like some people will be like, well, okay, sad. And then other people, it's like, no. And this episode might have been a no. Oh.
We'll talk about this episode because it was very, very upsetting, but another gorgeous episode of this franchise. But before we do, make sure to subscribe if you've not already, because we're here almost all the time giving you almost all things drag. Currently, that means a little less this week and a whole hell of a lot next week. So tune in. There are new other franchises popping back into our sphere of influence. So there's going to be a lot of drag content next week, of course, including Drag Race Philippines, with definitely and hopefully other special guests appearing sometime in the near future. So stay tuned. We are working on things for y'all. So we see you. And make sure to check the description below where you can find our audio podcast links, all of our other YouTube channels, because we have 4 channels where we put a lot of content out. and our Patreon for exclusive content and early access, including early access to the Look Over Here episodes for all the franchises we're currently covering. So, we're going to dive in. We come back. They finally eliminated someone. Not who I thought it was going to be. Based on, if you gave me the whole cast before the season started and told me Versex was going to be the first out, goop. Goop. I mean, it was 100% deserved, unfortunately.
Right.
But
yeah, it makes sense knowing more about her now. Like knowing, like she really is just a model. It's like you took a model and threw her into Drag Race and expected her to succeed.
You took 2 models and threw them into Drag Race. I'll say that much, unfortunately.
What do you mean?
Yuripota.
Oh. I thought you were saying Versex is 2 different models, like a boy model, girl model. I was like,
no,
what?
I'm saying they didn't just throw 1 model in, they threw in 2. And we'll talk about it. I love Yuri. But she is Versex, babe. She's gonna be fine. I'm not worried about
Versex. You do that now.
No.
Logan can't roll his R's. Sex. That sounds like me trying to pronounce John Fedeliaga's name.
It's the same double L as a Y as you would in Spanish, David.
Speaking of, I would like to formally apologize to John once again. John, you get 2 apologies in a row, but I want to apologize for butchering your last name. It's Fedeliaga. I got it.
Thank you.
I think what confused me is I knew it had the L sound and I knew it had the Y sound, but I didn't know it had an E sound in between them. So I wanted to say Fedeliaga or Fedelaga or Fedayaga, but it's Fedeliaga. There's an extra syllable in there. Fedeliaga. And you know what? I'm obsessed with it. And this is pure fact. When I watched the Meet the Queens and I heard John say John's name and said, "John, hi, I'm John Fedeliaga," I was like, it just gave me ear tingles in the best way. I love how it sounds. And now I can say it. John Fedeliaga. So I apologize for getting it wrong.
God, because you can't you can't say a lot of names. So thank God
I'm always willing to learn.
And sometimes you still don't get it after you learn.
I'm good. I got this cast. I got their names.
Well, this cast also has a lot of easy names, David. We are better at saying names of queens than other Drag Race YouTubers.
Ooh. Say their names.
And that's shade.
Ooh.
Oh, if you watch, you know.
Does it start with a V?
You know. What?
Does it start with a V?
No.
Does it start with a... I don't know.
Anyway, everyone is sad about Versex going. I have to say, I was also sad to see Versex go, but I wasn't ready to see Mix go, and I did love that Mix absolutely slayed the lip sync last week. It was a good lip sync. It was probably the weakest of the 3 we've had so far, but I did still really like the lip sync. And I will say this as well before we get into the episode, since I wasn't here last week. Upon first watch of last week's episode, I was like, oh, John should win because John did the best. And upon rewatching it many times after that, I'm like, nah, but Maxie was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Maxie was really, really good. So, and after this week, I am convinced that they don't give a fuck about John. And we do. So. We care about John here at the Cup.
We do.
Shout out
John
to
Fedeliaga.
Friend of the pod, John.
Fedeliaga.
Just John. Fedeliaga. But yeah, they come back into the workroom the next day. Mama Pao comes in, and we're doing another Alarma. And we got 2 in this week. And I'm just like, at some point, they're going to injure someone.
Yeah, I was nervous. I could tell Pao was not feeling that, but was not going to say anything.
Okay, then she didn't need to egg them on. She joined in, so she needed to expect that the girls were going to do that.
Okay.
if she was like, no, don't do it, then they wouldn't have done it.
I just saw Terror.
In the same way, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I did too. She was like, I have to host the show. Don't do it.
Don't kill me.
No. But we get a mini challenge that we've seen on a couple of other drag programs, drag race franchises.
Or Lamos.
That's what I was going for, so thank you. Stick your hand in a box challenge. Do that challenge. And thankfully, unlike other drag programs, they're not using animals. Thank you, Drag Race Philippines.
Yeah, we just need to see them fondoliaga some things. Fondoliaga. Hey, it fits. It fits after this episode.
It fits because she won the damn mini challenge too.
Yes, and yeah, this was such a funny challenge to me. Just like seeing how scared people would get, and Pao was just really trying to encourage terror. I had a few good quotes.
Her with this damn hook. I'm like,
like I saw her.
She's finally comfortable hosting this franchise, and I fucking love to see it.
She would rub cotton candy on people's hands, like trying to get them afraid of the cotton candy. But I had a few good quotes.
Yes.
So Jay Quinn was like, "Is it a rock?" And then Pao said, "What kind of rock? Is it igneous or sedimentary?" And I don't know why, but that cracked me up.
Like, why? For what reason?
Yep. And then after John won, we had Kiana say, when she's streaming on Omegle, she's probably fondling herself. Yes, Daddy.
Oh my God.
Queen of OMG.
Yes.
And I want to know what she does now that Omegle's gone.
I know. That's
Omegle
really
was
depressing.
like, it was a big part of my gay awakening, so I'm sad.
Oh.
And I made friends.
There's another website that was a part of my gay awakening that I will not talk about on this podcast. But my favorite part of this was shocker, Tita. When she's going over, she's in the boba box.
It's not boba.
She's not even touching anything. And she's just like, oh! Oh! Like she is touching air.
Right.
She is just touching air.
And making guesses still.
And
she was hoping she would luck into it.
Right. It's like, girl. And then she was, when she did the cotton candy, she was like, a human, a corpse.
Yep. Blood.
Okay. Blood. Is this pork blood stew? Kills me. God, I love Tita so much.
Tita baby.
Our Tita baby, who told me that she loved me very much, and I love her very much.
Did she watch us?
She watched our reel.
Oh.
Yeah, she watched our reel. And she reposted it. She was like, your Tita baby loves you too. So I was like, yay.
Yay.
And I'm sure she follows the pod on Twitter now, or on Instagram. So, period. But yes, John wins the mini challenge. And I was thankful because it meant John finally fucking won something. And then she was like, I love in the confessional when she was like, I won something. Okay, I can go home. Just kidding. Like, no, John.
I was like, famous John. Last words.
John. No, John. But she had a great time assigning the shows for our Maxi Challenge, which I really enjoyed. We are doing hosting challenges. We are hosting shows streaming on Pao Presents Plus.
I love it. I love
it too. I fucking love it. I mean, it writes itself.
It does. Yeah, I thought it was interesting seeing everybody group up too, because it was like, ooh, what's everybody gonna do? And then they were like,
before Mama Pao said anything about picking their own teams, Mix just holds on to Tita for dear life. And I was like, that's my draft pick right there. Yes.
They all just grouped, like, I think literally everybody grouped up with whoever was next to them.
Not everyone. No, because that's when Mama
okay,
Pao was
at
like,
least
they're all drowning in the boat. It was like Mix and Mix and Tita did, and then it was
Angel and Kiana did.
Angel and Kiana did, and then it was like the other 6 kind of like did their thing. John kind of grabbed Popstar, who was near her.
I thought they were already by each other.
No, I think they were like 1 or 2 apart, if I remember right. And then who the fuck else was there? Maxie was like, okay, cool, I'll work with Zimba. Because Jay Quinn pulls Udipota. And then John assigning these shows gave me so much serotonin. Like, just the joy and the enthusiasm of getting to pick these shows with detailed explanations as to why she's giving. I just love John so much. I love John.
Me too.
So much.
John Fedeliaga, yes, we love you here.
But they go off. They're doing their thing. The girls are getting ready for their challenges. And we get a little bit of drama because Angel and Kiana are very, very solid with their concept. They get done early. So Angel decides, oh, I'm going to go over and I'm going to go pull a Mama Pao and go talk to everyone. And Jay Quinn shuts her the fuck down. And I was like,
yeah, it was sad to see because like they went over there with, you could tell they were having so much fun. Mm-hmm. They had so much joy, and then it just slowly just got sucked out. And it was really sad to see. And I know that Jay Quinn had issues with Angel last week, so maybe that's kind of bleeding into the sentiments here behind kind of just rejecting them pretty hard. But it was still hard to watch. I don't know. Come on. Just play along for a little bit. It's fun. And we didn't even really get to see the workroom walkthroughs with the other teams. Like, you could tell the other teams were more receptive, but I'm like, I want to hear those too. I want to hear the positive part of it.
I wish.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get the challenges,
mm-hmm.
which we'll talk about later. Do we want to talk about the workroom stuff that they do in between here?
I mean, we could. Well, I'll just first of all say it was so jarring how they just went to the challenge.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I didn't really expect this. I figured this would come after the runways. We would see everything. But I'm not mad at it. It just was like a little bit jarring. Like, it was a weird tonal shift. And then to go back to the workroom stuff later was a little odd.
Yeah. Yeah, the way that they're formatting this was weird because what other episode did we just see where they did something like this too?
Where
it was like they showed the challenge. Because they showed the challenge. Oh, it was they literally did it this season on Philippines. Where they like did the first part of the runway and then came back. Or no. It was All Stars 9. It was All Stars 9 when they did the Rusical and then they came back into the workroom after the Rusical and had that like workroom moment getting ready before the runway because they had to fill time, I guess, or something like that. I was like, that's confusing, but all right. Yeah, I also found it very jarring. I was like, I don't particularly love this, but whatever. So our Emmy moment of the episode, and the reason why there was, for the 3rd week in a row, a trigger warning at the top of this episode, was we hear more about Tita's life, talking about her, being the eldest of 4 siblings, having like going into like business stuff and like entrepreneurial stuff from what it sounded like, and having everything fail, falling into debt, being super depressed, wanting to unalive herself. And she really is a drag saves lives kind of moment, and it made me love her even more than I already did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she talked about like having so many uncles. Like there's just men everywhere in her family. Like her dad was all men and one sister, and then her mom only had brothers. She only had brothers. So I get like that it's a hard culture, like especially with we know how a lot of straight men can be. And I'm not wanting to assume anything about her family, but it can be hard just knowing that there's something different about you and you're just surrounded by straight men and you don't know how to navigate that. And just being kind of in the same age bracket as Tita, like it feels so common that like anybody queer growing up from like a certain era having those thoughts is just part of it. Like that's going to be part of your life being gay, is that you're going to think, is it worth it? Do I need to end it? I've been there. I'm sure lots of people have been there. I'm hoping the tides are changing. I don't know how it is, but it seems to be a more accepted thing among the younger generations. So I'm really hoping that that's a struggle that's just going to become a thing of the past.
Mm-hmm. I hope so too. I really would like to see. I would like to see people be able to move past it and just kind of like accept where they're at and accept what makes them happy. Because I have done that recently where I've kind of accepted and moved into a situation where like I'm doing what makes me happy now. And what makes me happy is this podcast. So subscribe. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. But yeah, that's about it. So here we go to the runway. And our guest judge, Melai, Mamshi Melai. She has lots of last names.
Yes.
I loved her.
Me too. She was a lot of fun, and I really like what she's wearing too.
So much fun. Oh yeah, no,
like, she's one of the best
Gorgina.
dressed guest judges I've seen in a while.
These 4 women are gorgeous this week. All 4 of them are like giving what needs to be given.
Yep.
So before y'all do it in the comments, I did some research on Mom Shimalai because she said something in Untucked that made me very, very interested in her life story. So, and it actually pertains to us and what we watch outside of Drag Race. She basically came onto the scene and gained notoriety because she won the Pinoy version of Big Brother.
Oh yeah, they mentioned that she was on PBB.
Yeah, she was on one of the earlier seasons of PBB. She won, and that's kind of why she's a media personality.
How cool.
And I love that because we're huge Big Brother fans over here. We are currently covering the active season of Big Brother US, so go check that out over on the Cup TV. But I was like, that's really cool and very, very much so pertains to us as a podcast. So,
speaking of Logan, tell me when to stop.
Stop.
I couldn't believe she asked her that.
I loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Love Mom Shimalai. And I thought she was, we'll talk about it, I thought she was great in all of the shows as well. She knew what she was there to do. And I appreciated it.
Yeah, while we're talking about the judges, I do want to talk about Raho this episode because maybe some people don't think it's genuine, but I am seeing such a new leaf from him. He was so kind to these girls this episode. Like his critiques were some of the kindest critiques that I've seen in a while. And I really appreciated that from him. Like it really does feel like he knows he screwed up and he needs redemption and he's putting in the work. So I appreciate that. And I thought he looked pretty good in this jacket.
I think I would agree, honestly. I didn't find him offensive in this episode, and I'll take that. And I thank you. Also, before we forget to acknowledge, Mama Pao made this outfit.
And it's a good one.
And she looks fucking great. She looks great. It's pants with the turn shoulder. It's so good. It's so good. And I do love that Jiggly talked about on social media that Ovi was the one that led the styling for this look for her, and I'm obsessed with it.
Okay.
I think Khaled Karen looks. This is maybe my favorite thing Karen has ever worn.
She looks so good this episode.
She looks so good. This hat, I love. A say something hat moment.
Hat.
Thank you. But no, they all look so good. So good. So let's talk about our Pao Presents Plus shows broken down 2 by 2. So we had, I hope I'm going to say this right because I watched the episode twice and heard them say it many times. So I'm going to hope I say it right. Jojo Wain or Totro Pahin with Popstar and John. And then we had Purse First. Bob the Drag Queen being an international presence on Drag Race once again. And that was Tita and Mix.
Or Becky.
Or Mix, as she
yes.
Well, Becky, I think, is like a term. Let us know in the comments. I think it's a term for like diva or like gossiper, is what I got from it.
Okay.
I do also just love that they just straight up used Bob's silhouette for the logo.
Oh, yeah.
Did you not notice that until right now?
I didn't.
Oh, good. That was the first thing I noticed. All right. What did you think of these two groups?
So we'll talk about the first group. It was the Bring 'Em Home or Friend Zone group. I thought they both did well. I thought this was one of the more evenly matched teams. Although I did have a standout for me, it was John who stood out a little bit more. We had good banter with them, and I'm going to just call her Momshi. And yeah, I really enjoyed what they had to do. We got to see some really cute dancing from John too. And like, I thought the idea of just, because what do you do with this? Like, yeah, I have a question, but how do you make it into an event? So I like the idea of we're going to dance. One of us is going to dance if you answer this question or this way.
Right.
I'm going to dance if you answer this way. But John was like totally leaning into like the adorableness that she just embodies. So I really enjoyed her in this group. Yeah. I thought this was probably my second favorite group overall.
And this was my favorite group overall, I have to say. I think they just started out so strong. This is the first time this season that I'm finally like, all right, I think I get Popstar. I think I finally get Popstar's energy and like what she brings to drag. And just like, it was so full of personality that I was like, thank God, finally. I'm happy to see it. I will agree, though. I think my standout for sure was John. I think John just did such a good job with this. This is what she does. And that's why Popstar grabbed her, because like, this is the energy she does. This is the kind of content that she does. So leaning so far into your wheelhouse and doing successfully on Drag Race, it's a very rare thing to find. And so I'm happy that John was able to really succeed. Like you said, I think taking the concept of this and kind of elevating it, because there's not much that you can do with it, but I think they elevated it to as much as they probably could. I do love that they the last one that they did was Melai's literal husband. I was like, that's very fun to do. And he is a very attractive man. I was like, oof. I will just say in general, there's something about Filipino men that are just anyway.
Hey, Favo Fatal.
God, the wrong franchise. David.
Right country,
wrong franchise. But for me, I think they were the two that worked the best together. Their energies melded in a really great way. Not by a whole lot, but I think this would have been my favorite group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Moving on to Purse first group. So if the first group we talked about was one of the most even, I think Purse first was the least even for me.
I am going to disagree because I actually think there
Okay.
was a group that was less even. But I
Ooh.
agree with you that they weren't even.
Mm-hmm. Well, I might have some hot takes on this one. So I think they both handled this in very opposite ways. And we heard also that they're hosts in their everyday life, so they should have been good at this. The
I mean,
problem,
Mix is a fucking podcaster like we are.
Mhm.
And Tita is a show host. So like it makes sense.
Yeah. The problem is one of them was able to adapt and go with the flow of the conversation very easily,
Yes.
and the other
And
one,
one was Mix Chanel.
yes, yes, or Becky. She was so stuck on hitting the points that they had already planned out, and you could tell that it was flustering her. Here's my biggest hot take. I very, very, very easily could have given Tita the win overall. I thought she was
Oh.
so good.
Oh, baby, that's not a hot take here because I
Mhm.
also, the first time I watched it, I came out of it and I was like, oh, well, Tita's going to get her win. Great.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be honest with you all also. The spoilers for this episode beforehand said that Tita won this challenge.
Oh, interesting.
So I was a little perturbed later on. Because I really thought she did such a good job.
Mhm.
I would put her, honestly, because I agree with everything you said. She rolled with the punches. Her improv skills, I am so excited to see Tita in Snatch Game next week. Because what we saw here with her improvisation skills are so, so good. I would put this performance of hers in this challenge on par with what Sasha Colby did in the 50-50 challenge on season 15.
Okay.
Because I think they were both just the professional older woman of a certain age, who is just able to go in, knows what she's there to do, but also can roll with the punches when she needs to. I loved Tita's energy throughout this whole challenge. Tita could have easily won, and I would have been thrilled and obviously excited because I love our Tita baby. But I think she deserved some recognition for this challenge. I really do.
Sure. The only thing that I'm going to knock her for slightly is while I felt like her banter and her natural responses with Mumshy was so good, I do think she lost the plot a little bit in focusing on the purse part of the challenge. So it really was starting to feel like a bit of an afterthought. But then Mix was kind of giving me Charlie Hyde's, like,
Yeah.
in that Good Morning Bitches challenge, you know, how Charlie was just so stuck on this is what we're here to do. And this is, and I've been the biggest Mix fan on this podcast. And I said she did
I'm a close second.
I said she did not deserve, she was in my top 3 last week. This time
she didn't deserve to be in the bottom at all last week.
Right. This time I think that she really did not do well. And this is the first time I really felt all the critiques they had been giving to her about how serious she's taking everything. I did not get any joy from her in this challenge. Like she was so straight faced in it. For me, she absolutely should have been lip syncing this week.
Oh, I disagree. I think her placement was right where it needed to be because of another full group, honestly.
Yeah,
we'll talk about
if you're judging by teams, I would agree. But since we're judging individually, I think she was arguably
I would say judging individually. I agreed completely with everything that happened in the bottom 3. I'll say that.
Good. I'm glad we disagree.
We tend to when it's just us. Well, speaking of, let's talk about our next 2 groups. We have Toot Nice Sha, Boutizano, and that was Jake Quinn and Yuripota. And then 69 for the win. David, do it with me. 69 for the win with Angel and Kiana.
So the tutor boot group, yeah, they were clearly the weakest group as a whole.
Boo!
They just felt pretty flustered the whole time, especially Jay Quinn. Jay Quinn, you just saw panic in her face the whole time. I actually thought Udipota was doing fairly well with the interview portion.
Oh, okay.
It was just a little bit low energy. And I just wanted her to like expand her horizons a little bit more because like we get that she brought that in her branding episode 1, that she's kind of the lazy, like disinterested type of queen. And I love that. But I do want to see levels too. And I didn't get a lot of levels for her. But Jay Quinn, first of all, I think that she actually handled the fact that they were running out of time pretty well. So I kind of disagreed with the comments about that. But other than that, I just saw like fluster and concern on her face the whole time. So for me, I think Jay Quinn was the weakest in the group. For me, Udipota would have been the low, safe person.
Okay. I definitely understand that. Jay Quinn was the absolute worst in this challenge. Like, and I did actually agree with what they were saying in the judging, because, and it's one of the rare times that I really, really agreed with a bad critique that they gave someone. I forget, it might have been Karen or it was Jiggly, I don't remember. But the comment about, mentioning that you're running out of time directly is kind of disrespectful to your guest. I did completely agree with that critique. There are 1,000 other ways that she could have moved the conversation along instead of just saying, well, we're out of time for that. Like, I that felt very disrespectful. And it felt very amateur. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say this too. And I think I really, really like where Jay Quinn's aesthetic is. And I really like her perspective on drag. She's not ready to be here.
Yeah, but for me, I think that the message about we're running out of time was more for Udipota, so she didn't ask her about another look. But I see what you're saying.
You could have easily said, well, that's all the time that we have. Well, we need to, like, there's more professional ways to say that.
I guess so. It's pretty.
Well, before we go, like there's a bunch of different ways. Like, before we go, well, thank you so much, Momshi, for coming on. Like, there are so many other ways to transition into that instead of just blatantly saying you're out of time. And that's coming from me, who also has a like acting and theater and production background. Like, that's not the tea. So, for me, Jay Quinn was the absolute worst. Now, when it comes to Yudi, I do agree with you that I think the interview part of everything was good. I couldn't tell you a single thing she did after the interview. And that's a problem. So, for me, like, this was by far the weakest group. And if I was judging personally, either by teams or individually, they would have been the bottom two.
Okay, fair. I don't agree, but I'm close to agreeing, but not quite there.
But what I think we can both agree on is that 69 for the win was a great group.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
Their little intro thing, I don't think I've ever seen something that I was like, wow, this is so explicit. Like them just like
the way that Kiana had Angel upside down, shaking her ass.
And she spit.
These girls don't give a single fuck this season, and I live for it.
Immediately, I was won over by that intro.
Oh, yeah.
And then we get into the actual thing. First of all, Momshi was not fully prepared for this group, I don't think.
No.
Because she was like, wow, I'm a Christian lady. This is going a bit far.
Yeah.
But man, they still went for it. For it. And I lived for it. This was my
Let's
favorite.
attach this eggplant to your waist.
Right. I love the eggplant
Yeah.
microphones too.
Oh, the eggplant microphone was so good.
And they kept handing it to her.
And then she took it at one point. I was like, it's so good. They understood the branding of this better than I think anyone did. The thing I will say, the reason why I preferred Popstar and John just ever so slightly more than I did Angel and Kiana is because the concept of this is a game show. Why are we then doing an interview? Unless it's like, we're going to give you 69 seconds, let's do some rapid fire questions. But that was never explicitly said. So the only time that the game show aspect of it popped up was at the very end. Thank you. I did say that intentionally. But the only time that the actual game show concept popped up was at the very end. So I was a little bit confused by the messaging of it, but I think the branding of it, the synchronicity with which they said that intro was incredible. And I think the production of the segment was really, really good. I was just a little bit confused as to whether we were doing some like Today Show kind of interview and game thing, or whether this was supposed to be a game show. And I'm operating under the understanding that it was supposed to be a game show. And so if they had just framed it like, oh, let's take 69 seconds, we're going to ask you the questions that they did, which I thought the questions were also really good. But if they had framed it in that way, it would have made more sense to me fully. And I think they easily could have gotten the win. And I think the reason why Kiana didn't and Angel was safe was because there was just a little bit of mixed messaging going on, and they completely flubbed their outro.
Yeah, I kind of feel like...
But I still think they were so good. I think they were so... Like, this is the best performance Angel has had this season, by far for me. And this also, I was like, I understand Angel now. I'm falling in love with Angel every episode I watch, honestly. Sorry, go ahead, David.
You're fine. For me, I kind of felt like it wasn't them that misunderstood the way that this should go. I think it was more how it was presented to the audience and made it sound like it was more of a game show than it should be, because they followed pretty much the same format all the groups did. Like, they all had mostly interview portion plus something else. And so I think it would have been weird if it had such a focus on the game show element and they didn't get to do those like interview
the only
interactions.
Group that didn't really have like an interview situation was the next one. The last one we're going to talk about, Maxi and Zimba, didn't really have an interview portion.
I mean,
the way that I'm looking at this whole challenge, I'll just give that perspective too. And I think it might, because I agree with you. And I think they did really, really well. And I think it went along with the format of the other groups. But the way I'm looking at it is I'm looking at it as a like morning show, kind of like we're doing the segments of the show. And not every segment is going to have an interview part to it. So I was looking at this specific, the 69 for the win, 69 for the win segment as kind of just this like light, bringing like a little bit of brevity to everything. And I saw it more as just the game show part. Now, if we're looking at it through the lens of interview and other segment, they did really well. I still think I preferred Popstar and John just a little bit to Angel and Kiana.
Yeah, that's fair. I preferred them. 69 for the win.
Fair.
Got the win for me. Like if they did a team win, they absolutely would have been my winners. I kind of wish
I wouldn't have been mad with them getting a team win either.
Yeah, I kind of wish Angel had at least gotten some critiques. I feel like there could have been a top 5 easily this week.
I love Kiana dearly. I do. I love Kiana. Kiana is winning me over. Kiana did not need a 4th time in the top.
I think she did. She was so good.
But she was so good. But if you're gonna, I would have, and we'll talk about it more, I would have rather them give that to Angel. If you're only going to put 3 people in the top, I would have rather they give it to Angel, so that way Angel could get that high placement, get that critique after, of course, she was basically almost eliminated 2 episodes ago. Like, I think that would have been better. Kiana could have had a safe here, and I wouldn't have been mad about it, but it probably would have been a safe, but Kiana, you did real well, girl. Like, that kind of safe.
Fair.
But I'm not mad at Kiana getting another safe place or top placement because she deserves it.
She does. She's killing it. She's quickly becoming top tier favorites among the Philippines franchise for me. Like, she's right in my. She's at least in my top 5 Philippine queens ever.
Work. Let's talk about our last segment, cooking Gina. Did you get the pun? Please tell me you got the pun. Damn it, David. Okay, so this segment in English translated to mother cookers, correct? You saw that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The Filipino word for motherfucker is putangina.
Mm.
So it was cooking Gina. Do you see it? Do you see it? Do you see it?
Okay. Yeah. There's no way I would have known that.
No, but they say it so many times. They say it so much. But you pay attention to the subtitles. I pay attention to the subtitles and what they're saying.
I mean, I don't close my ears.
Well, I know, but you're more focused on reading it so you can understand it.
Yes.
I'm also trying to learn Tagalog, so that's a whole separate part of everything. But a side note for the viewers, because you'll probably be watching this segment, if anyone has really, really easy Tagalog online resources to learn Tagalog, please throw them in the comments, and I will be forever grateful because I would love to learn Tagalog. And it's one of the few languages that is not available on Duolingo. And for that, I'm very upset. So any resources would be greatly appreciated. But last group, Maxi and Zimba, who I thought did good.
Yeah. This was the hardest group for me to pay attention to. I don't know what it was. There was something about it just
I know what it was. I know exactly what it was. For me, at least. But go ahead.
It felt like a lot of like droning on and not getting to the point very quickly. And it was also another group that was pretty like heavily dominated by one person. And I think in a vacuum, Maxi did really well. She did really well for a one-on-one interview. I don't think she was very mindful of her partner.
Not very demure, not very mindful.
That was not intentional, you all.
I know, but I pulled it in because I have to. Thank you.
Yep. But also, I feel like Zimba didn't put up much of a fight. And I think she was kind of resigned to playing back fiddle in this, which was disappointing for me because I love Zimba. And Zimba has a great personality. And I would have loved to see how she would interact with this challenge. But yeah, for me, I don't want to make it sound like I don't think Maxi did well. It's just her domineering in it just made it a little bit too uneven for me. And so this was probably my second to last team as a team. Yeah, that's all.
Because then in that case you preferred Mix and Tita?
Yes, and that was largely due to Tita's energy and Tita basically being my favorite individual out of all 10.
Yeah. We got the back 3 correct as far as our placements of them, because I absolutely agree with you there. I'm going to say this before I say what I have to say. I am loving Maxi this season. I think Maxi is incredibly talented. I think Maxi is a great personality. I'm loving seeing more of her because I loved her on Queen of the Universe. I found her so remarkably annoying in this challenge.
Oh, no.
And this is no disrespect to Maxi herself because she is very talented and very funny. But I found her so remarkably annoying. By the end of this challenge, all she was doing was screaming unintelligible words. And she does this thing where when she gets very excited, she she does this vocal inflection that I really enjoy. And I think it's very fun. I didn't understand what this segment was. I didn't understand why the food was there. Mom Shimelai made all of the food. I was confused. I didn't understand any of it. Zimba brought, I'm going to say, practically nothing to this group. And I love Zimba dearly as well.
Zimba was close to bottom 3 for me. Pretty close.
Zimba could have been in the bottom 3 and I would have understood it, honestly. But and this is another classic trope on Drag Race that we're seeing where someone overpowers their partner so severely and still somehow gets a challenge win out of it. It did not make sense to me.
It's a dog world.
Maxi would have been 6th best for me at most.
I think I would have had her 5th.
Over
probably Popstar. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I get that.
But it's still like it's the top 6. It's Zimba, and then it's the bottom 3.
I couldn't find myself paying attention whatsoever to anything Maxi was saying. What she was saying when I paid attention to it didn't even really make sense. She was like, breakfast is the most important idea of the situation. I was like, what the fuck are you saying?
It could be subtitles too. I don't know.
It very well could be. But going off of her banter and the way she was interacting with Mom Shimelai, I was just like, this energy is weird. Yes, it was professional. Yes, there were no nerves. But I think she was turning on the character more and more to combat the fact that there might have been a little bit of nervousness. And that I didn't love. But I still love Maxi. I just truly in my heart of hearts think there are literally half of this cast could have won this challenge over Maxi.
Okay.
So, but I love Maxi. It's just, I did not think, quite honestly, I didn't think this was a winning performance at all. But
I thought it was on the table for a win. In the conversation, for sure.
Okay.
For me.
Not for me. But she would have been solidly safe. Very high safe, even. I'll give her a high safe. But you can tell, I can already tell you without a shadow of doubt who the top 2 of this season are going to be. Without a shadow of a doubt. It does not matter what any of these other girls do. I can tell you the top 2 of the season.
I mean, I think there's 2 front runners for sure.
It's Kiana and Maxi. Yeah. And no, I'm not spoiled on the top 2. They are not giving anyone else that could potentially have a top placement other than those 2. Like, they are just not featuring anyone else. And it's very clear they want one of the 2 of them to win. And if one of the 2 of them wins, am I going to be upset? No, because they're both entertaining. But I think this is a week where there could have been other people in the top other than Kiana and Maxi.
Yeah, if one of those wins, they might be my favorite Drag Race Philippines winner.
Oh, yeah, no. If one of them wins, they will hands down be my favorite Drag Race Philippines winner. I'm just saying I would like to see the judges, and this is all about the judges, has nothing to do with the queens whatsoever. I would like to see the judges be a little bit more mindful, a little bit more cutesy about giving some of the other girls top placements when they deserve them. That's all.
Fair.
Let's talk about our runway really, really quick here. Category is 3D Fractal Extravaganza. I loved this category. And we'll talk about it more on Look Over Here, but I think both of us agree that this is one of the best runways of the year so far.
For sure. I do not understand the theme. And I talked to somebody who also didn't understand the theme. So I would love to understand it a little bit more. But whatever it is, I want to see it more often.
So a fractal is, I'm looking on Google because I understand the concept, but that's also because I took a lot of like math. I did at one point go to fucking school for math. But a fractal is a geometric shape containing detailed structure at arbitrarily small scales, usually having a fractal dimension strictly exceeding the topological dimension. So basically, a snowflake is a very good example of a fractal.
Okay.
You know how snowflakes have like all of the little like pieces? Those are all fractals. That's basically like it's like these geometric shit, and that's why I included some like graphics that look a little bit similar to it, but are not going to give like the full understanding of it. But it's supposed to be like small, like very, very fine geometric details within an overall situation, if that makes any sense or clarifies anything for you.
Got it.
Cool. First up, we have Maxi.
The fabric of this coat is unlike anything I've seen.
Pretty good. I'm not mad at it. Not my favorite, but pretty good.
Pretty good.
You know what pretty good means for me as far as the score goes.
Fair.
Next up, Zimba Ding.
I wish she was on the stage so they could critique this look, because this was worth critiquing.
Her performance wasn't worth critiquing, but this look definitely was. I loved this. I loved this look. Except for the shoe. I hate the shoe. Next up, Popstar Bench.
A little basic. My least favorite of the night.
Probably the best example of a fractal. I gotta be honest with you. Probably the best example of a fractal. But I will also say a little underwhelming. She's giving me, in the way that she's doing these runways, she's giving me, and I'm not surprised because they're both O-Bar queens and probably work together and talk a lot. She gives me really Ovi vibes in the way that she thinks about the runways and presents them. Because I could see Ovi in this, hands down, no question. Which I love. I'm really enjoying Popstar so far. John Fedeliaga, featuring fractals on her head.
Yeah, I really like this. Something about the coloring in the chest area threw me off a little bit.
Her skin?
No, it's not her skin. It's the chest part.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, where it goes like dark in the middle? Is that what you're talking?
Mm-hmm.
That's a bra.
Mm.
She's probably wearing, it's either a bra or the top of her corset, which I do wish was covered. I will say that as well.
It was like gray.
It probably was black, and then with all of the white over it, it probably looks gray. Because of fractals, David. No, I'm kidding. This is one of my favorite looks of the night. I think John just looks so good.
Fedeliaga.
In fractals. Fractaliaga.
Fractaliaga.
Correct. Next up, not his, not hers, not theirs, but our Tita Baby. And y'all didn't do that intro for her last week, and I am disappointed.
Well, maybe we were disappointed. No, I'm kidding.
And Tita Baby last week?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. This is a step back in the right direction.
Could not agree more. This was one of my other favorite looks of the night, for sure. And it's different for Tita, and I'm happy we're seeing different kind of fashions from Tita. I'm thrilled about it. Mix Chanel.
This was so good, but maybe not my favorite of the night. Ooh. Ooh.
I'm also going to say this is one of my favorites of the night because I don't know where my scores are going to land.
The top two for sure.
Top three for sure. I think my top three would have been John, Tita, and Mix for sure.
Okay.
Who I think are also my three favorite people on this cast. I gotta be honest. I think those are my three favorites.
See, you know what, Logan? You are so. What is the word for somebody who like they are when somebody like likes is like sexual attracted to somebody for their personality, you know?
Demisexual.
You're demisexual when it comes to drag. If you like who they are, you like their drag more. And I love that about you, actually.
Well, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes. Because drag is a very personal art form.
It is.
And that is how I view it.
And it goes the opposite too. If you do not like them, then don't watch the podcast.
I will say I didn't particularly care for sex all that much on the show. Loved for last week.
Sex. Oh, you did? I didn't like it.
I did. And I know I'm now in the majority and you're not. Because I heard what you had to say about her look last week. So. J. Quinn.
Actually, one of my favorites from J. Quinn so far. Except you don't know.
Oh, the Nude Illusion.
Except the Nude Illusion, dang it.
And the white bodysuit under the Nude Illusion.
Oh, yes. Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, what it looks like to me is it's a white bodysuit with a full Nude Illusion suit, or it's just tights over it. I agreed with Mama Pao. I'm ready to see something different. And I don't know if she can do that. But it was a cute look.
I didn't like that critique. And I don't like that you agree.
I would like to see more versatility from her.
It's in the same brand, but it's not like these looks are so different from each other. They're not.
It's the spiraling. Honestly, that's what it is. Like the fact that she has done this kind of like spiral sort of thing, many looks. That's just where I have the issue.
Okay.
That's all. Yulipota.
Ooh. I love the top half, but
I'm ignoring the bottom half.
The skirt was giving me duct tape.
The skirt was giving a piece of fabric wrapped around her waist. But again, I'm ignoring the bottom part. Oh my God, Yudi looks so good. Yudi looks great. I wonder if this is one of the other looks that got allegedly damaged on her way to Drag Race. We'll talk about the whole Yudi of it all later, but yeah. Angel.
Maybe Angel's best look so far.
Definitely Angel's best look so far. This abstract interpretation of it, I love, and I'm excited to talk more about it and look over here because I really appreciated this perspective on it. And last up, Kiana with a K.
So good. Giving me lionfish a little bit.
Girl. I'm pretty sure that was the inspiration.
Okay.
I would be surprised if that wasn't the inspiration. Just yeah, literally lionfish. You're right on.
Okay.
And it's Iris Van Harpen. Van Herpen. I can never say her name right, sorry. Iris Van Herpen inspired. So well, that's the runway. Obviously, we'll talk more about it on Look Over Here, which a lot of you are not watching.
Oh.
So you should. Thank you. Just a public service announcement. But let's quickly talk about Untucked, because I think this is probably the tamest Untucked we've had this season so far. And even then, it still had a lot going on, because we come in, the safe girls are sitting. Some of them should not have been safe girls, but whatever. And the big whole thing is just Angel is complaining about the situation that happened earlier in the workroom with Jay Quinn. I just love Angel. I'm on the Angel train now. I just find her so funny. The fact that all y'all were like, oh no, don't make the Miss Jade So comparison in episode 1. I stand by it, because she really is giving Miss Jade So energy, and I love it. And it's not a bad thing, because I love Jade. There is just a kindred energy that I'm really, really loving from her. But I thought that part was so funny, where she's just sitting there with her food and she's just complaining. Loved it. And then I think for the first time in season 3 of Drag Race Philippines history, Zimba Ding did not stir the pot in an episode of Untucked.
Good job, Zimba.
Good job, Zimba. Good. I did love earlier when Mama Pao was like, Zimba, are you a chef? And she's like, I just stir the pot. Branding. Branding, ding, ding. But yeah, then the other girls come in. Maxie is super excited about her critiques. Jay Quinn is like, yeah, Maxie's gonna win. And they have like a bit of a moment, which I was like, ooh, Lord. And then that quickly is just erased, because then Yuripota has her moment. And she is what?
Mix has her moment too.
Mix has her moment where she's upset being in the bottom again. That's erased, because then Yuripota has her moment. She's like, I just don't want to be here anymore. And she does this thing, and I do love this about Yuripota, where she's having her emotional moment. She's like, I feel like I'm letting people down. I just don't get it. I don't understand. Okay, back out of character. And I just love the way that she just like switches back and forth so easily like that. It was very entertaining. It was very, very entertaining. And then Mom Shimele comes in, and they alarm her. And I'm like, can we not throw the guest judges, please?
Yeah, it makes me nervous.
Every time. And she's wearing this big, they tried to do it twice. They tried to do it when she came in and when she left. And when she came in, she was like, oh no, my skirt is too heavy. And I was like, yeah, so then don't do it. And then when she left, they did it again. And then when they go back to the stage, they tried to alarma the PA. And I do love this PA, because this PA was not featuring any of that. I was just like, no, we have to get back to stage. No, don't do this.
I'm getting very alarmed.
I'm getting very alarmed.
Alarm.
Pound the alarma, because I'm worried about the alarma.
We're gonna find out. Drag Race Philippines production sues.
No! No, we can't have another lawsuit.
I also want to briefly mention that when Mix had her little breakdown, I loved how Jay Quinn like usurped it by crying harder on behalf of Mix than Mix even was.
I know. She's just like, I just feel so bad because I've been safer in the bottom and I feel like I'm dragging her down. No, you're not.
She said, I'm your best friend here, and I've been doing drag longer than you.
Literally.
And I just want to see you sail to the top finale, whatever.
Okay, so then go home so she can be successful again.
Oh.
And I think she would have had certain things not happen in this episode. But we get our top three. We have John, Maxie, and Kiana. I will say that I understand
Mm-hmm.
Why all three of them are in the top. For me, if I was judging this individually, I think my top three individually would have been John, Kiana, and Tita.
Ooh, I think I agree.
Now, if I'm judging it as teams, I would have had Angel and Kiana and Popstar and John. And I could have given the win to either team. And I really think in this kind of challenge, I think it should have been a team win, honestly.
Yeah, I do too. That's kind of the precedent for what the US does for this specific type of challenge.
And I don't think we've really had many pair challenges on Philippines. And I don't remember how they were judged necessarily. But I really thought, genuinely, I would have been fine with either the duo of Popstar and John or the duo of Max or Angel and Kiana winning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I genuinely, either way, I would have been really good. The win ends up going to Maxi again, which I just find confusing. I get it because they liked her performance and they liked that they didn't see any nerves on her and she dominated the performance. And for all of those reasons, I wouldn't have given her the win.
I feel like it was kind of a win, like for star quality, just because she just felt like on an even level with Momshi, you know? Like,
I think they gave her the win because they want to establish her as the front runner because they want to crown her the winner of this season.
I don't know. I feel like that's not giving her enough credit for how well she did do. She did do well in the challenge.
And
you're entitled to disagree.
She did well. But like I said, I thought there were 5 other people. I think Popstar, John, Tita, Angel, and Kiana all did better in this challenge than Maxi. And I think all 5 of them looked better on the runway than Maxi.
I don't agree with that.
I even would have been more okay.
You are telling me Popstar bench looked better than Maxi?
Oh, no. Then, okay, 4 of them.
Okay.
4 of them. Sorry. I forgot what Popstar was.
Okay.
Most of them looked better than Maxi on the runway. Most. Some of them looked better than Maxi on the runway. Some is a good some. I even would have been more okay had they given the win to Kiana. Honestly.
Me too.
Like,
that's who I was rooting for when I saw the top 3. I was like,
It could have been John or Kiana or Angel or Popstar or Tita, and I would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just confused by this. And she was confused by it. She didn't even realize she won. She thought John won.
No, it was the way that it was said. It was said in a different way. Like, I was confused too, because, you know, you have the thing where you talk about the top 2. She says, John, blah, 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 blah. Maxi, blah, 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 blah. Pause. Congratulations. And I was like, wait, which one? You didn't say their name. The person
that she just talked to, which was Maxi.
But for me, it was like,
it was confusing.
I'm talking about you two, and it doesn't really matter what order. And then just say congratulations. It's like, okay, clarify. Because usually in this situation, she would say, congratulations, Kiana.
Right.
But she didn't say anything. And
which would have been fine.
John immediately knew. And I think Maxi was waiting to hear a name. Like, she didn't want to just assume it was her. So it was a little weird how it was done.
Yeah. But our bottom 3, I think, was the very clear bottom 3. Mm-hmm. I would have elevated, you know, I think because I think it should have been Jay Quinn and Yuri Pota. I could have seen a universe based on Runway that they took Mix out and they honestly put Zimba in. You agreed earlier.
But don't act based on Runway. Not based on Runway.
Yeah. They both look great, though.
We'll get into it.
They both look great, though.
Okay. Look over here to hear my thoughts on Zimba's Runway.
Great. I'm also going to give her great thoughts because I think she looks great. Mm-hmm. But we do end up with Yuri Pota and Jay Quinn in the bottom, which, yeah. Yeah.
I would have had Mix down there instead of Yudipota.
How dare you?
How dare her? How dare her look so unenthused and just completely joyless during the challenge? It was so frustrating because I love Mix.
But we got Jay Quinn and Yudipota lip syncing to Wakang Pa Bebe by Vice Ganda, who we do know comments. Thank you. We do know who Vice Ganda is. Because she was the person that allegedly all y'all wanted to host this franchise over Mama Pao.
Yep.
I will be honest in saying I had never heard her music before. And now suddenly I want to go listen to her music because this song was amazing. I love this song. So Werk, Vice Ganda. And this lip sync is interesting, David.
It is. It is. So I first I got context for what the song is from somebody on Twitter. So thank you for that. But basically it's supposed to be you're trying to act cutesy, bashful, and sweet, but in an annoying way. And I did
Which
kind
explains Jay Quinn's whole performance.
I did get that. And I knew that context going into the lip sync. So for me, I was thinking Jay Quinn was winning pretty much the whole time. And then it just became evidently clear that Jay Quinn.
Yeah, it became very obvious that Jay Quinn was going to win. I will say, I do agree. I think she even said it. She grew up listening to Vice Ganda. She knows this song like the back of her hand, and even then, she still dropped some of the lyrics. Like, she did a really good job. Objectively speaking, she did a really good job. She was going to win the lip sync regardless because, unfortunately, partway through, Yudipota decides to eliminate herself.
She pulled
in a Jade So style. Mama Pao, you did not eliminate Yudipota. Yudipota eliminated herself.
You know, and it is. You didn't just eliminate me. I eliminate myself, and that's a context that I always miss. She said, "You didn't just eliminate me. I also eliminated myself."
Yeah. And I want to talk about Yudipota eliminating herself here in a second. What I want to point out first is how fucking disrespectful Jay Quinn was. And I'm not personally going to be able to move past this, I don't think. Because when she stood there after winning the lip sync and said, I think it's disrespectful that she walked off instead of finishing the lip sync.
There was part of me that in that moment was hoping to hear sashay away because she just was
okay, bye.
She was so confident that look, I get to stay. Like, it still needs to be a decision. Like, you still need to hear the Shantae. So I didn't like the jumping to conclusions. Like, sure, it's a pretty clear conclusion, but I was kind of annoyed too.
I just thought it was so beyond disrespectful because you don't know what she's dealing with right now. And you don't know what kind of mental state she's in right now. Because you don't pay attention to anyone else other than Mix because you decided, oh, I'm only going to pay attention to Mix because she's my friend. And I'm not going to try to, interact with any of the girls, which they literally called you out for in Untucked. So all I'm going to say is I hope Jay Quinn goes home next week.
But hey, I didn't have to say it earlier in this episode when I said,
oh no, I am happy to say it. Bye, Jay. I'm ready for her to go home. I'm ready for her to leave because I don't want anybody else to go home.
That would be very tragic for my draft I did with my roommates because I had Versex, I had Yudipota, I had Jay Quinn.
Oh no, you're
and I had Zimba.
So. Oh well, you're gonna hold on with a Zimba to dream, but
hopefully,
I do want to send all of my love right now to Yudipota. I think it is, it is not an ideal scenario to see someone eliminate themselves on Drag Race. We have seen it done many times in many fashions. What I am happy about, and after hearing her in Untucked as well, I'm really happy to hear that, like, for a long time, she has not chosen herself in a lot of scenarios. And for her to choose herself in this moment and to leave because she just did not feel she could do anything else in this competition, I get it. I do wish we were going to get to see more of her fashions on the runway. I am excited to see the rest of her runway package. But given the context that we know, allegedly some of her garments were either unfinished or damaged prior to coming to Drag Race. Having all of that context and also coupling that with the judges not really understanding her as a queen and her perspective, which I agree with. I don't think they understood her. I think they respected what she did, but I don't think they understood her. I appreciate that she just took herself out of the situation. Even though, truthfully, I think they probably still would have kept Yuripota over Jay Quinn. In the
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, because I just think they, like, Jay did the worst. Jay Quinn was the worst in the challenge. And so I think if Yuripota had it, and I think Yuripota was doing a pretty good job in the lip sync too. I wasn't mad at her performance either. I thought it was funny. I thought she gave a lot of dynamic. It was a lot of that, like, low key, like, bored energy, but it kind of worked with the song too in an interesting way. But I just love Yuripota, and I appreciate that she knew herself well enough to take herself out of the situation when it felt appropriate for her. I appreciate someone removing themselves from a competition when they feel like mentally they can't do anything else. Unlike other people on other reality shows we're currently watching who want to quit because they're not getting their way. And that has nothing to do with Drag Race.
Say his name.
Tucker! But I appreciate her taking herself out of... Thank you, person in the background that I won't acknowledge until look over here. But it's Lana, spoiler. I just appreciate Yuripota. I really love that she is getting this platform of Drag Race. I hope that there is the potential for her to be on Dragula in the future, because I gotta be honest, she is one of the girls that I think could make an easy transition to Dragula. I really do. And I think the Boulets would really appreciate and understand her perspective. But I love Yuripota. I'm happy she was here, and I'm sad that she's gone.
Yep.
But I'm happy that she's gone.
Me too. I actually had, when I was watching, for me, how I interpreted the end of this episode was that she was doing the lip sync, and to me, and I'm not saying this is true, to me, it felt like there was a moment when she forgot the words, and
she just, like, broke,
and she couldn't recover from it, and was like,
I think that had something to do with it,
because I just lost the lip sync just now. So I'm just gonna, instead of standing here and further embarrassing myself, I'm just gonna go.
I think there's probably an element of that too, because she definitely dropped a couple of words, and you saw as soon as she, like, and I agree with you, as soon as she dropped it, she was just like, nope, I'm done.
Yep. And that's cool. Like, I respect that. I've come through a real journey this year with how I feel about people who have quit these shows. Like, we've had a few people quit on Drag Race this year alone, and I've come to learn that, like, my empathy needs to be extended to those people as well, because I don't know what's going on in their situation, and I want to try to understand it. And it's easy to just be like, hey, you took somebody else's spot, you let us all down,
right?
But like, this only affects them in the long run.
Yeah.
And if they're okay with it, that's all that matters. So I think we should all just chill.
I think of this situation with Yudi the same that I think about the situation with Baby on Drag Race UK. Like, there is a real and definitive reason why she wants to go, and I respect that. People that want to quit just because they're not getting their way, I don't respect that. But people that genuinely are like, I am at a place where I cannot do this anymore, I have nothing. And I love... Moon is another great example on Drag Race France. Like, she just had enough. She just couldn't do anything else. And I'm really happy to hear that you're evolving on that stance, because I've also done evolving on that stance too. And as someone with a lot of mental health issues, like I don't know what I would do in those scenarios. And I would hope that I wouldn't want to quit. But there is that part of me that's like, if I get too overwhelmed, like I know how I deal with that in my daily life. I don't know how I would deal with that in a competition. And neither did Yudi.
Yep. So. It really came down to Drag Race Belgique. We saw Morphe quit, and we were a little tough on her in that moment.
Yeah.
But then, like very shortly after, we saw Sagittaria trying to quit, and they weren't letting her. And then that's what really unlocked, like, oh, well, if it's best for them mentally to remove themselves from the situation, why would anybody try to stop them? Like, I don't know. Yeah. And like, it was never a concern when Moon quit. I was like, that's my girl. I still have her in my little name thing. But it was just Morphe. And that's where I had to really check myself. So
cool. But we love Yudi. We love you, Yudi. And sad to see her go, but happy that she's gone. So draft time.
Yes.
And it's still pretty close. So that's positive and lovely and wonderful. We have River currently in 6th place with 17.5 points. I'm currently in 5th with 22 points. Brandon is in 4th with 24.5. Lana is currently in our bronze medal position, speaking of Paralympics, which you should be watching. Currently in 3rd with 25.5 points. David is in 2nd with 26.5 points. And Eve is currently still leading the draft with 31.5 points. So it's anybody's game. Ooh. But I will say, Brandon did just lose Yuripota. So we'll see what happens. But Mix ain't doing me any favors being in the bottom 2 weeks in a row. But next week, very excited. Snatch Game Caraba! It feels early. I don't know if you agree. It feels early.
I feel like it's pretty close to the same time they did it last time. I think what's weird is that it feels like not as
Only
many
2
people have left. Yes. I think that's what's different.
We have 9 queens going into Snatch Game next week.
In fact, I think it was episode 4 last time.
4 or 5, I don't remember. One of those episodes, I don't remember. But yeah, I'm excited for a Snatch Game. It's been a minute since we've had a Snatch Game to talk about, so I'm excited to talk about a Snatch Game.
Well, a legitimate Snatch Game, not a rusical.
A legit Snatch Game that wasn't also a rusical. But with that being said, we are going to get out of here. So we still went an hour and a half, even with 2 people. Damn. All right. But thank you for joining us for this recap for Drag Race Philippines. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, same us, to talk about episode 5, Snatch Game. Very excited. In the meantime, make sure to subscribe, like, and share on the way out. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Filipina fans. We appreciate all of the support. We have gotten one of our videos to 10,000 views this season already, and we're hoping for much more. So thank you. Make sure to check the description below where you can find all of our audio podcast links, our other YouTube channels, our Patreon, our social media, and where you can get your merch, including but not limited to cup mug. And with that being said, we're going to get out of here. So cheers.
Cheers. Ooh. Is a rock igneous or sedimentary?
No. I'm touching nothing in this box.